Hello, everyone. My name is Elchanan, and this is the Torah portion of Noah. And I would like to share a thought on the first verse. The verse begins with Eila Toldos Noach. These are the offspring of Noach, or Chronicles of Noah. Noach ish tzaddik. Noach was a righteous man. Tamim hoya b'deirosav. He was complete in his generations. As Elokim hisalech Noach. Noach had walked with the Lord. So here is a question that Rashi brings. Rashi is a medieval Torah commentator who has made a very beautiful commentary on the entire 5 books of Moses, much of the rest of the scriptures, and also on the Talmud. And but his commentary on the 5 books of Moses, the Pentateuch, is very preeminent. And they say he wrote it, with divine inspiration. So I wanted to go over, he comments on the word that Noah was a tzaddik complete tzaddik in his generation, a completely righteous person in his generation. And sometimes the word tzaddik is used synonymous with the word saintly, holy. Person who's very, very saintly. But what does it mean to be holy in his generations? First, we say generations plural because he lived a long life spanning many generations. So Rashi brings down 2 opinions from earlier sources. One opinion says that if Noah would have been in Avraham's generation, he wouldn't have amounted to anything. After all, Avraham was so great. When compared to lighting a candle in broad daylight, what light would have that candle given in comparison? The greatness of Abraham, Noah wouldn't have even shown a candle. Then there's another opinion. No, the support and the help and the consciousness that would have existed in the days of Abraham was so supportive that Noah would have shown even greater. He would have even been a greater tzaddik, a much more righteous, holy person than he was in his own generation. In fact, he was somewhat handicapped because his generation was so spiritually poor that, this was as far as he could go. He maxed his potential for his generation. But if he'd been given a different environment, he would have shown beyond belief. So, which view is correct? I want to suggest that possibly they're both correct. It all depends on a single factor. What Noah would have done with his free choice. You see, even someone who's a tzaddik, who's saintly, still has free choice. Even, let's say, he moved beyond the struggle between good and evil. He still has a much greater struggle. That's one between good and better. Good and better is a much harder struggle because you have to tune into subtlety, into very, very tiny subtlety. Imagine the difference between someone who's somewhat familiar with the world of diamonds, and he's a little bit of a diamond dealer, but he's not really, really an expert. And he could generally tell you when there's a stark contrast, which is a better diamond, right? But when there's a subtle, subtle difference, he can't detect that. Similarly, most of us, we could detect pretty easily if we're on the path trying to serve God. We could detect pretty easily, in most cases, between good and bad. But to detect between good and better, that requires more expertise, more tuning in, more refinement. And if Noah would have been in Abraham's generation, and of course you have to grow because if you don't grow, you slip. But he'd chosen just to grow slowly and not to take really advantage of everything that was offered to him. and I speak to myself too, it's a lesson to me as well, not take full advantage of everything that was offered to him. He would have he would have grown. He would have still been a tzaddik, but nothing compared to Avraham Avinu, Abraham our father. He wouldn't have shown a light. However, if he would have taken care of the full support system that was there, with that free choice, if you made that choice, he could have really, really moved forward and advanced in holiness, downloaded new levels of his soul that he had never downloaded before, and shone like a bright light, even in Abraham's generation. And so the lesson is to each and every one of us. Now, again, I'm speaking to myself too. Take advantage of everything God gives us to grow. And this way, we can hopefully be great to the our fullest potential. There's the nurture, and then there's the nature. There's us, who we are inside, and then there's also the environment. And Noah maxed out what he could for his environment in his generations, the pre-flood generations, but he didn't max out yet for the post-flood generations. So with that, let's move forward in life. Let's advance in holiness, and let us bring Mashiach very, very soon in a sweet and speedy way. Thank you for joining.